Hello my friends, welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures, and this is a recap of day 4 on the road here from Anchorage heading somewhere. We're not sure where we're going just quite yet, but we wrapped up our Dempster Highway trip. So if you've watched my previous videos, we traveled up the Dempster Highway, which is all gravel, about 550-ish miles roughly, from just outside of Dawson City all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. So we made it up there, and yesterday we headed out, started getting rained on, and it was getting slippery, and we camped out about 60 miles north of Eagle Plains. So this morning we got up, actually slept quite well, got up. The road was slick, but we took it easy, made her into Eagle Plains. I don't know what time it was, about 10. And we sat down, we had about 4 or 5 cups of coffee, had good breakfast, gassed up the bikes and headed out maybe about noon. It's 230 miles from Eagle Plains to the end of the Dempster Highway. We made it about 30 or 40 miles, and my good buddy Ken unfortunately got into some soupy mixed up mud and set his bike down. And it was going about 20 miles an hour. So we'll take a look over here. And he went down on this whole side here. He said he dented his box here. I don't see it, but I'm sure he'll point it out to me later. And basically got this whole side muddy. He was trapped under the bike. I was about 50 yards behind him. So I got off to the side, went over, helped him get the bike off of him. He messed up his hand. We're not sure what's going on with that. We taped that up. He said his ankle hurt a little bit, but he's walking on it, so we'll see how that is. So after that, we took a breather, of course, got moving again, a couple more muddy sections, and we were maybe, let's say 20 miles from there. We're probably about 60 miles total. And at that point, Ken said, "Hey, I think my front tire is packed full of mud." I'm like, "Well, mine is not." And I looked. So when I pulled up and looked at his tire, it was completely off the bead. So before we left on this trip, we both did some bike prep, oil changes, valve adjustment, lubrication, check this, adjust that, and part of it was doing tires. We both shopped for tires that we knew would make it up here, make it back to the US at least, because we weren't sure what our return journey was, but we knew getting tires up here may be more problematic than getting them in the US. So we both shopped for tires, and Ken decided on, they're called Moto Z Tractionators. And I went with some that are called the Mitas EO7 tires. But both of them are highly rated for longevity, about 10,000 miles. So on Ken's bike, he has spoked wheels, and they're tube type tire. Well, he was not too keen on the tubes, so he did a conversion. An online forum had this conversion where you put this 3M sealing tape in the center of the wheel, let it sit for a day or 2 days, and then it seals up the whole spokes, and it worked quite well. We went 6,000 miles, and we don't know why the tire came off the bead. We have a couple of different ideas. I think that he was losing a little bit of pressure, and it just got low enough where it popped off. And I think we're both pretty much on the same page. But anyway, we Tried to inflate it to get it to seat. All we have is little 12-volt inflators, and they don't put out very much volume. So I said, I don't think that's going to get it. We're going to have to pull the wheel off. So we pulled the wheel off, and we tried to squeeze the tire into the bead with no luck. Then I said, hey, I have a tie-down strap. We'll try that around the wheel. Well, the tie-down strap I have is not long enough. So we hooked up some parachute cord between the tie-down strap and tried that. That didn't work. Then he had a big long length of parachute cord, and we were wrapping it around the wheel, around and around the wheel and the rim, the wheel and the rim, all the way around, laced it up. Tried that, nothing. Well, in the meantime, a couple cars, a couple motorcycles came by, stopped. You know, not much they could do, but they offered their assistance. But, you know, pretty much everybody stopped, or at least waved and, you know, asked if, you know, thumbs up. And, you know, so that was nice. We had two riders on KTMs, and we heard them coming, and the road was muddy. And these guys, we heard them coming a long ways away. They were hauling. And they come by and did not even glance our way and just went by hauling ass. Well, karma got them, because about 300 meters, 300 yards up the road, one of the guys fishtailed and high-sided. And he was all right, but I gotta say I was a little bit smiling inside when that happened to him, because they didn't even slow down. Yeah, it's kind of rude. But anyway, we did have a really good Samaritan come by, and he had a tie-down strap. He tried that. He had a little bit better compressor, and we're using that. He gave us a can of Fix-A-Flat. We tried that. He even said, hey, I've done this trick before up here. We get a little crazy up here in the north. So we sprayed some brake cleaner in there, and he threw a match on it. And I thought it was going to go, because it popped a little bit, but it still didn't do it. So after that, we just decided, well, let me back it up a step here. So when Ken did this tubeless conversion, I said, hey, make sure you bring at least your front tube along, just in case it doesn't work and we need to repair a tire. The front tube is a bigger one. It'll fit in the front, and you can stuff it into the back. I've done that before. I've had a dirt bike put a 21-inch front tube in an 18-inch tire. Excuse me, I'm trying to outrun the mosquitoes here. So yeah, you just get it in there, and it's bunched up, but it'll get you out. Well, needless to say, Ken didn't take my advice, or forgot. He meant to. He forgot to bring the tube. Well, I had a tube, so my bike has different size tires. Mine has a 19-inch front tire, a 17-inch rear tire, so I have tubeless tires as well. Mine are a little bit different design from Ken's. They were tubeless from the factory. But I brought a 19-inch tube, so it will fit in my front. I could get it into the back of the back tire if I needed it. So I did have a 19-inch tube. Now, I've never tried this before. I've never tried putting a smaller tube on a bigger tire. But where we're at, we were 60 miles south of Eagle Plains. From Eagle Plains to the end of the Dempster's 230 miles, so we were 100 and, someone help me with the math here. We're about 170 miles to the end of the Dempster, and then it's 25 miles from there to Dawson City. Now, there's no motorcycle shop in Eagle Plains, but there is a little auto shop, and I'm sure that if they had a compressor, which they did, that they could pop the tire back on the bead. Well, I said, well, I tell you what, before you get to enjoy sitting down here the entire time, while I take your tire up to Eagle Plains, try to get it fixed. If they don't get it, then I have to come back, and then I'll have to ride all the way to the other end, try to get into Dawson City and get it fixed, and then come back and get you while you just sit here. I said, let's try to put this tube on there. Well, when we spooned the tire off the rim, we located the problem. So either him riding it while it was flat for the short period, or maybe that's what caused the flat, but the sealing tape was tore up inside of it. So we took the tire off, we got the sealing tape off. I cleaned it up as best as we could, and then we got the tube in there, and lo and behold, it worked. So at that point, I think it was, I don't even remember the time, but I know we got it on there, got moving, and then at about the 100-mile mark south of Eagle Plains, we stopped. And it was 6 hours. It took us 6 hours to go 100 miles. So Ken is, he's doing all right. So your hand is swelling up. That's dirt there, that's not a bruise. The bruise is on the inside. He's swelling up. Oh yeah, some nice folks that we ran into up in Tuck actually came by, and they recognized both of us, and they stopped. And that's where he got some nice purple tape. And that's kind of a neat thing. We ran into several of the same people several different times on the Dempster Highway. So I would say everybody except for 2 KTM idiots are good people on the Dempster Highway. And those guys got what was coming to. I hope they didn't get hurt, but man, they really annoyed me. And they were just driving too fast. It's not a race to get up there. The road, I'll tell you what, yesterday or the day before yesterday, the first day when we went up, I was telling Ken that I would take any bike in my garage up that day. There was only a couple sections that were questionable, and if you slowed down, you could have got through them on anything. I could have rode a Goldwing up there, slowly. But coming back, it was a whole different road. And that's the nature of that thing. You talk to people who've driven on it, and they say that it changes hour to hour sometimes. So, you know, it rains one day, then the next day it's rutted up. Maybe it's even better to ride it when it's raining than after it rains. It's hard to say. But we got really fortunate on the way up. It was beautiful. The way back, I think that we would have probably been all right. You know, Ken fell over. He was all right. We did see, excuse me, bugs. Now I got a dead bug on my nose. But we did see a helicopter at Eagle Plains, and ended up talking to ambulance driver there that said that they had medevaced out a couple people, and a couple people got medevaced out the day before. So people just get in there and they're riding too fast. Just because you have an adventure bike or whatever doesn't mean that you should haul ass on that road. Take it easy and you'll make it there. It's 500 miles. If you go slow, you make it in a day, no problem. But I think looking back, it would have been nice to put about 4 or 5 days aside to try it. But like I said a few times on here, we do and we do not have timelines on this ride. So like I have some family commitments I'd like to try to make. Ken has family commitments he'd like to try to make. So we do have to kind of make some miles, but we're not too crazy committed to it. Anyway, after all that, we got off the Dempster Highway. We pulled off this little, it looks like kind of like a logging road or something off the highway, about 20 miles east of where the Dempster Highway meets Canada 2, I believe it is. We found this little cool old fire pit. It had a historic looking old style can here. How cool is that? Steel can, pop top. And there was there's a steel oil can there. I found another steel soda can over here, or beer can. But we're just enjoying a little campfire here. We didn't get anything to eat since Eagle Plains at about 10 o'clock this morning. But we've been munching on granola bars and that kind of thing. So we're gonna be fine. And then we're gonna get into Stewart Crossing tomorrow, and Whitehorse is the planned destination for the day, which is a little bit less than 300 miles. So we're gonna try to take it easy tomorrow. And hopefully Ken feels okay. And I feel okay. We get some sleep. It's very difficult here. It's, I don't remember, I started this video a little bit after 10. I don't know what time it is right now. Ken's getting the time from the pilot house. It's 11 o'clock at night, and it's still pretty bright here. So it's kind of difficult to sleep. But here we are, getting it done, enjoying the adventure. All I saw around here was a little bit of moose turds and some small animal. Didn't see any bear. No bear scat. So we'll try not to lure them in. I do have that bacon I had set aside to put next to Ken's tent, just to make sure the bears go for him first. But I don't know, I'm kind of hungry. I'll probably eat that bacon. So that's our recap for the day. We didn't get that many miles, probably about 300. And we had a pretty big break in the middle, farting around with the tire, but we got it and we got out of there. So what can you say about that? I think we can say that's badass. Oh man, it's gonna be a good one. Tomorrow we're hoping to get into town and relax a little bit. I'm probably gonna buy some better gear. Oh yeah, my rain gear that I bought, cheap Frog Togs. Yeah, they haven't lasted very well. They're already shredding up. And my boot covers seem to work okay, but I really do need some new boots. So if there's a motorcycle shop, I might do a little bit of shopping, see how that goes. But other than that, video's getting kind of long, so I'm going to let you go and get out there and find your adventure. Adios.